Hello, this is Dr. Zhou again. This video is continue the book, the Iliad by Homer. I'm going to continue to read. And he forged on the shield 2 noble cities filled with mortal men. With weddings and wedding feasts in one, and under glowing touches they brought forth the brides from the women's chambers. Marching through the streets, while choir on choir the wedding song rose high, and the young men came dancing, whirling around in rings, and among them flutes and harps kept up their string calls. Women rushed to the doors, and each stood moved with wonder. And the people massed, screaming into the marketplace, where a quarrel had broken out, and 2 men struggled over the blood price for a kinsman just murdered. One declaimed in public, vowing payment in full. The other spurned him. He would not take a thing. So both men pressed for a judge to cut the knot. The crowd cheered in both. They took both sides, but Herodes held them back as the city elders sat on polished stone benches, forming the sacred circle, grasping in hand and the tufts of clear-voiced heralds. Each leaped to his feet to plead the case in turn. 2 bars of solid gold shone on the ground before them, a prize for the judge who would speak the straightest verdict. But circling the other city, camping a divided army, gleaming in battle gear, and 2 plans split their ranks to plunder the city or share the riches with its people. Horse the handsome citadel stored within his death. But the people were not surrounded, not at all. They armed for a raid, hoping to break the siege. Loving wives and innocent children standing guard on the ramparts, flanked by elders, bent with age, as men marched out to war. Ares and Pallas led them, both burnished gold, the attire they donned, and great, magnificent in their armor, gods for all the world, looming up in their brilliance, towering over troops, and once they reached the perfect spot for attack, a watering place where all the herds collected, there they crouched, wrapped in glowing bronze, detached from the ranks. 2 Scots took up their posts, the eye of the army waiting to spot the convoy, the enemy's flocks and croaked horns, cattle coming. Come they did, quickly, 2 shepherds behind them, playing their hearts out on their pipes. Treachery never crossed their minds. But soldiers saw them, rushed them, cut off at the stroke the herds of oxen, and sleek sheep flocks glistening silver gray, and killed the herdsmen too. Now the besiegers, soon as they heard the uproar, burst from the cattle. As they debated, huddled in council, mounted at once behind their racing teams, rode hard to the rescue, arrived at once, and lining up for assault. Both armies battled it out along the river banks. They raked each other with hurtling bronze-tipped spears, and strife and havoc plunged in the fight, and violent death. Now seizing a man alive with fresh wounds, now one unhurt, now hauling a dead man through the slaughter by the heels, the cloak on her back stained red with human blood. So they clashed and fought like living, breathing men, grappling each other's corpses, dragging off the dead. And he forged the fallow field, broad, rich plowland, till for the 3rd time, and across it crews of plowmen wheeled their teams, driving them up and back, and soon as they reached the end strip, moving to the turn, a man would run up quickly and hand them a cup of honeyed mellow wine. As the crews would turn back down along the furrows, pressing again to reach the end of deep fallow field, and the earth churned black behind them, like earth churning solid gold as it was. That was the wonder of Hephaestus' work. And he forged the king's estate, where harvesters labored, reaping the ripe grain, swinging their ratted scythes. Some stalks fell in line with the reapers, row on row, and others the sheaf bundle girded round with ropes. 3 bundles standing over the sheaves, and behind them boys guiding up the cut wreaths, filling their arms, supplying grain to the bundles, endless bundles. And there in the midst the king, sceptre in hand, at the head of the reaping rows, stood tall in silence, rejoicing his heart, and off to the side. Beneath the spreading oak, the heralds were setting out the harvest feast. They were dressing a great ox they had slaughtered, while attendant women poured out barley, generous, glistering handfuls, straws for the reapers' midday meal. And he forged the thriving vineyard, loaded with clusters, bunches of lustrous grapes in gold, ripening deep purple, and climbing vines shot up on silver wine poles, and round it he cut a ditch in dark blue enamel, and round the ditch he staked a fence in tin, and one long footpath led toward the vineyard, and down it the picker ran whenever they went to strip the grapes at vintage. Girls and boys, their hearts leaping in innocence, bearing away the sweet ripe fruit in wicker baskets, and there among them a young boy plucked his lyre, so clearly it could break the heart with longing. And what he sung was a dirge for the dying ear, lovely, his fine voice rising and falling low as the rest followed, all together, frisking, singing, shouting, their dancing footsteps beating out the time. And he forged on the shield a herd of longhorn cattle, working the bulls in beaten gold and tin, lowing loud and rumbling out of the farmyard during a pasture, along a rippling stream, along the swaying reeds, and the golden drovers kept the herd in line, 4 in all, with 9 dogs at their heels, their paws flickering quickly, a savage roar, a crashing attack, and a pair of ramping lions had seized a bull from the cattle's front ranks. He bellowed out as they dragged him off in agony. Packs of dogs and the young herdsmen rushed to help, but the lions, ripping open the hides of the huge bull, were gulping down the guts and the black pooling blood, while the herdsmen yelled the fast pack on. No use. The hounds shrank from sinking teeth in the lions. They balked and hunched close, barking, cringing away. And the famous crippled smith forged the meadow deep in the shaded glen for shimmering flocks to graze, with shepherds steadying well-roofed huts and sheepfolds. And the crippled smith brought all his art to bear on a dancing circle, broad as the circle Daedalus once laid out on Knossos' spacious fields for Irene, the girl with lustrous hair. I'm going to stop here today and continue next time. Thank you for watching.